linear perspective. You probably learned about linear perspective cues. Parallel lines converge as they get further and further away from us in the third dimension. Texture gradients. I mean, probably all of you knew about linear perspective before. This is a depth cue that is actually quite important, but people are much less aware of it. Now, these are, I don't know if these even look like separate people to you. It's not a very good picture. But this picture does seem to have depth to it. Part of that is a function of, the parts up high look further away, heighten the visual field. But part of the sense of depth also depends upon the fact that the visual regions down here are larger than the visual regions up here. And all other things being equal, this is a general rule about the nature of our visual world. The average size of visual regions is larger, closer up, and smaller, further away. Your visual system uses that information about the average texture of your visual field. That change in the texture of your visual field is used by your visual system to help create the experience of seeing a world that is three-dimensional, and it helps also locate objects in that third dimension. Shadows play a role in helping create a sense of depth in the world, as any photographer or artist knows. If you want a picture to have a good sense of depth to it, whether a photograph or a picture that you painted, you want to have shadows. Shadows make the world look more three-dimensional to us, look deeper to us. In the picture that you see here, actually the only information that your visual system is using to create a sense of three-dimensionality is shadow information. Your visual system makes this look like a hole by using the shadows along with an assumption about where the light is coming from. This will look like a hole, not a mound, if you assume the light is coming from up above. This will look like a mound only if you assume the light is coming from up above. So your visual system uses shadows and builds in the assumption about where the light is coming from. And of course, that assumption is usually correct. One other monocular cue, a little more complex than the others I've talked about, motion parallax. The reason for even putting this here, it's another example of the role that motion plays in perception. Now, in the perception of depth. We move. And as we move, we experience a flow of regions in our peripheral vision. So as I move, for example, toward the door, the image of everyone else, everybody, all of you, with the light on, at least all of you in my peripheral vision, is flowing past me. The rate at which the image is flowing past me depends upon how far away you are from me. So if I look straight ahead, as I move, the image of the people close to me is moving very quickly out of my, from being in my peripheral vision to being gone. For parts of the room very far away, it takes longer for that image to flow completely through my peripheral vision and disappear. So there is actually a direct mathematical relationship between how far away the object is and how quickly the image of that object flows past us in our peripheral vision when we are moving at any particular rate. Your visual system is sensitive to that mathematical law. And uses it to help create a sense of the world as being three-dimensional and to help create a sense of where objects are in that third dimension.